All right, we're ready for the challenges, the dreaded challenges. Don't worry, the way we built them is it's going to ease you into this whole thing. A couple words before we're starting out here. As you know, we're working on fear. Okay, we're working on fear becoming our friend on a macro level as well as on a micro level. On a macro level, always remember, because this is something that helps many guys out when they're in the moment, afraid. On a macro level, that's the big picture, right? Where do you see yourselves in 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, right? Whatever it is. Where do you see yourself in the future, 5 years from now, right? Remember that whole chapter we talked about, and you're missing out. Because the only person that keeps you from that is you, yourself. So have that in mind. And on a micro level, do something you're afraid of every day. These can be these challenges for sure. It could also be an approach, right? When we talked about the momentum, it could be an approach, 3 approaches. Could be chat up the guy who's lifting next to you at the gym. Be social, ask someone for the time, even if you have a phone. Right? These challenges, again, are a good way to do that too. And always feel free to repeat those challenges, by the way. Like a year from now, you've gone through the program, right? You settled down with the girlfriend, you broke up, you're ready to jump back in, but you feel approach anxiety, boom. Get back to these challenges. They're really good way to do that. By the way, you don't need to do multiple challenges per day. You don't need to do all of them at once. I don't even think that's possible from a time perspective. Like I said, I personally did a couple of them per day. If it was a bigger one, I did just that on one day. As for maximum effect, I would say 1 a day minimum. But then again, if you're busy because you have a job, unlike me, then understand it. Obviously, the more you do, the better you'll be, and the better you'll be off. And as long as you're doing them at some point, you're good. Okay, I appreciate that far more than the guy who's just watching me doing all these uncomfortable things. Also, I would highly recommend you not skipping ahead. Don't just be like, fuck this challenge like that. Like, even if you feel like, yeah, you're pretty advanced, fuck it. Do those challenges, starting with the easiest one and then ease yourself into the next ones, right? Don't look ahead either, because sometimes it can freak you out. Just look at what is given to you right now. Go ahead and freaking do it. Also, the theory part that we've talked about earlier, right? The inner game part is supposed or is meant to consult you throughout. So if at any point you're like, oh shit, this rejection challenge is so hard, boom, go back to the inner game part, because it will help you out. So feel free to jump back and forth and so on and so forth. Also, those challenges are supposed to expand your comfort zone a little bit at a time. They are supposed to make you afraid. They are supposed to make you massively uncomfortable. So don't see that as an excuse like, oh, what makes me uncomfortable? I'm not going to do it. They are supposed to do that. But if they truly freak you the fuck out, like, holy shit, I can't do that, there's 2 things you could do. Number 1 is get a wingman. Get your wingman, get your best friend to help you out, or even ask in the Fearless Crew Facebook group where I am on. I'll help you out, right? Where other people are on, they'll help you out as well. Or if you truly freak out, revert back to one of the earlier challenges. That is totally cool as well, right? Like, oh, I lost a little bit of momentum because I had 4 days where I had to go to work every day. Boom, just do one of the other challenges, one of the earlier ones. You can even use them as warm-up. Also, and this is something important, this is called reactive deloading. So if you're familiar with the gym, that's the same. When you're lifting too many weights, and because always you're trying to increase the weight, right? You always try to get stronger. At some point you can't, you fail, no problem. What you do is you revert back to an earlier weight. That's exactly the same that we're doing with the challenges, right? Reactive deloading, if you will. The general rule for this is the moment you feel resistance, you gotta do it. That's one of my favorite all-time rules. The moment I feel resistance, I go ahead and gotta fucking do it, right? That's the rule. Also, let's go through a couple of our mantras that can help us out. I picked the most important ones here, but you can always revert back to the, what's the chapter called? Initiate the reprogramming chapter, where we're having more frames. But in the heat of the moment, when you're out there on the street or in the club doing the challenges, tell yourself, number 1, fear only exists in situations that count. Fear is my friend, and fear is my personal guide into freedom. That's one mantra. The other one is, I'm doing everything for the reference experience. Only in discomfort I am growing. My fear means I'm excited. And the third one is, feel free to add any if you want to. Feel free to add shit. Feel free to, let go of a couple of these sentences. Whatever floats your boat, okay? And those challenges are meant to give you experience with fear. Because remember we said you're afraid of fear. You're afraid of the feeling of fear because you don't have a lot of experience with that. So what we're doing is by going through these challenges, you're getting more experience in fear. You're honing your skills. And remember what we said, when skill is there and the challenge is just a little above, that's where the flow state happens. That's where we're feeling in the zone. So that's good. That being said, that's the intro. Let's go fucking make shit happen.